the main series, the artist has to be Black woman. It was pulling teeth to get my artist to put my character in a bonnet.
Wow.
It was pulling teeth. First he drew her hair wrong. And I was like, no, that's not how her hair is. It's thicker than that. But then also because she's waking up in the bed, she needs to have a bonnet on. And he just did not understand why she needed to have on a bonnet. Country music. All right, everybody, welcome back to Melanin Minds, empowering Black women creatives in the comic book and manga space. We have another awesome episode today with another amazing guest. Okay. She is an amazing artist. I didn't look through her art like several times. And it's just like, this is so good. She's written and illustrated several of her own comics. She's illustrated other comics by people like Stephanie Williams. And she's also a speculative fiction author on top of that, which I only just figured out. So that's actually really cool. And so we have with us tonight, Sarah Macklin. And
hi, everyone.
How are you tonight?
I am doing great. How are you?
I am good. Did you want to add anything? Did you like your intro? I find most people are pretty okay with it.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh. I try to do everyone some really good justice. I'm always impressed by everything everyone has done.
That's awesome. I'm happy. I just had my second novel come out, so things are looking up.
Did you do the covers on your novels?
No. Because it's basically because I do comics too. I really don't have the time. I would like to. I've been offered the chance to, but it's like I don't have the time. I gotta write.
No, that is fair. That is very fair. I was just curious. Because I was like, the covers on the novels are also like really good. It's like those definitely you want to crack those books open.
Yes. My publisher, Milton Davis, he picks some phenomenal artists. So I'm very happy with all of my work.
Well, just in case anyone doesn't really know a whole lot about you, to get started, we just want to know if you can share your background, and on top of that, how your intersecting identities shape your experience as a creative.
Well, I was born and raised just outside of Columbia, South Carolina. My mother sat me down with a pen and a little tricolor pen and a notebook to keep me occupied while she was fixing dinner. So that was my first foray into art. I always tell people I remember like doing scribbles on a piece of notebook paper and thinking, no, this needs more blue. It needs to be balanced.
He was doing color theory before she even realized it.
Exactly. I wish I could get that color theory back. But my dad's a big geek too, so he was really into comics. My mom got me into video games because there was at the back of the laundromat there was a Miss Pac-Man arcade game. So she would entertain us by completely crushing that game. And she also bought me my first comic book. So I come from a family of geeks, so that's my upbringing. So naturally, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So why does everyone have a parent that's really good at Miss Pac-Man?
I don't know. I guess that was the game in like the 70s, apparently.
Yeah, because like I know my dad is my dad and my mother-in-law for years we've been like they need to go against each other at Miss Pac-Man because they're both Miss Pac-Man monsters. And it's just like everybody just seems to have that one parent that's like, it's Pac-Man. That's the game.
Yes. My dad, no, video games are not his thing. Wow. But no, my mom, except for Duck Hunt, because he grew up on a farm, so he used to embarrass us by making us look like the little semi-suburban children that we were. As far as how my identity affects my creativeness, growing up, there weren't a lot of books. with people who look like me. And if there were, they were all guys. So I was the child who always wanted to insert myself into the stories that I was reading. So every story was like, no, this needs a black girl in it.
Mhm.
It'll make the story better. So once I started writing for real, I always, no matter what, I'm always going to put black people in it somewhere, because there isn't a world that doesn't have black people. We're everywhere. So it's like as I got older, I wanted to focus more on my intersectionality, and especially with comics, there are so few black women in the industry. It's like it feels like college all over again. We should all know each other.
Right.
So it's crazy. So it's just I want to do more and more comics focusing on black women as protagonists. And
Yes.
so that has just been my focus since I started doing this seriously.
And I love that yours are like some maybe a little more slice of life, or like you have the one where it's more focused on cooking. Like I love those like nice little, stories. They don't always have to be like the superheroes or fighting or doing something else. Like we can just have a nice slice of lifestyle story about a black woman. And so I
Yes.
really like that. And I really like the fun way you do the art for the books. Like it looks like reading the comic is loads of fun.
Oh yes, drawing the comic is loads of fun.
And did you play fighting games growing up?
Oh gosh, yeah. That's how me and my brother would settle disputes. We'd be like, we'll
Oh,
take it to Street Fighter 2, 2 out of 3. Whoever wins, that's who's right.
and did
Are
you
they
always
actually
play as
right?
women? Did you always play as the women characters?
Oh yeah, Chun Li was my girl.
Okay. I was
And
like, that was me.
Vega. Chun Li or Vega,
That's
which I think
fair.
says a lot about my personality.
That's fair though, because Vega played really good.
Yes.
But also like the female characters in most fighting games, they always had like they had the best combos, they had the best reach, they had the most speed. Like they
Yes.
may not have always had the heaviest hits, but I could get away from the heavy hits. Like
Exactly.
so
I'm
when you
actually
said
trying
insert
to
yourself in stories, that's what I was thinking.
I'm trying to do an art book of a black focused fighting game. My husband gave me the title Concrete Rumble. So I have the cover sketched out and I have the characters together. So hopefully by next year I can get that out.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking forward to that. I love fighting games. I grew up on fighting games. Using fighting games to settle disputes between me and my brother would not have been fair because I just whoop him all the time. But like I'm looking forward to that. I know one other indie fighting game that's in production right now that's focused and all the characters are black and most of them are black women. I don't remember the creator's name right now, but I think you kind of tackled this next question. I mean, you kind of did, which is how do you believe your race and gender influence your creative process and the themes and topics that you put in your work?
Oh, yes. Perfect example. When I was working with Stephanie Williams on her webcomic Parenthood Activate, there was one of the early comics that the mother caught the husband and son sneaking into the cookie jar in the middle of the night. And of course, I put her in her bonnet because I drew her with long dreads. And so for me, it was like, that's an automatic thought. And Steph thanked me so much. I was like, she's supposed to put her bonnet on. I mean, that's
That's what we do.
I that's what you do. So it's like little things like that. It's like it's such a joy to not just work with black women, but to these little things that we can bring to the representation and make it authentic and relatable to the black women who are reading, because As much as I love Storm, I did not have a silk press growing up. I have forged sea hair, and yeah, I mean, I love her, but I always draw her with the afro.
I
So,
prefer the Afro. I
yeah,
saw your picture of Storm. I love it.
thank you.
I love it. I think it's great. That's like, even when it comes to the mohawk, the frohawk is the preferred look when it comes to the
Yes,
mohawk. It's
yes,
so much beautiful. It's so much more beautiful. It's so much more glorious.
yes. It's absolutely regal on her. So
Yeah.
I don't care. That's what I'm always drawing her with.
And I also thank you for bringing up the bonnet thing for two reasons.
Yes.
One, the most recent thing is we were watching a movie, and one of the main characters is a black woman, and she sleep and she gets up, and I'm just like, that ain't how we sleep. First off, where her bonnet at?
Exactly.
Where her bonnet at? Because with that hair, there is no way she's not wearing a bonnet. And then she
Exactly.
just got up and it was perfect. No, ma'am.
Mm-mm,
No,
mm-mm.
ma'am. That's not how it works. And then the other reason, and this is the reason why I think it's very important to me to have Black women artists on my projects, specifically the way I pulled teeth and waited so long to start one of my stories, because I required that the artist be a Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
is because for like the zero issue of that book, I was like, okay, well, we'll just, because it's just like a quick introduction, we'll just do whatever artist we already have. The main series, the artist has to be Black woman. It was pulling teeth to get my artist to put my character in a bonnet.
Wow.
It was pulling teeth. First he drew her hair wrong. And I was like, no, that's not how her hair is. It's thicker than that. But then also, because she's waking up in the bed, she needs to have a bonnet on. And he just did not understand why she needed to have on a bonnet. I was like, in my head, I was like, because she's a Black woman with thick hair, and we wear bonnets to bed to protect our hair. Like,
Yes.
why are we getting so much pushback from you on doing this? And this is why I want a Black woman on my story with my Black woman.
Exactly.
Oh, and Lloyd,
Exactly.
Lloyd in the chat just said he had the nerve to say she looks good without it. It's not about looking good. It's
No.
about what's proper and how we wear our hair.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, but yeah, you literally hit right there why Black women artists are so important on projects with Black women characters,
Yes.
because other people don't think about doing that for us.
There's so many little nuances that are so important, and just don't get it. I mean, it's they don't live this life, so they're not gonna get it.
I think it annoys me the most when it's a Black man. If it's not a Black band artist, I'm just like, you definitely don't know nothing about it. But it's like, hey, y'all at the very least should know. But then again, y'all have discourse about whether or not we should be wearing bonnets too. So I don't have time for y'all.
My
You
husband
answered.
tells me I'm cute. I
You
said
said
my
your
husband
husband.
tells me I'm cute.
Exactly. So we're not worried about the rest of y'all.
Exactly.
Let's get. You answered my next question. You gave me an example in your answer for this question. So we're going to move on down to the next one, which is, in what
Mhm.
ways do you see your identity reflected in your work, and how do you navigate these intersections in a competitive industry like the comic book industry?
Oh, that's such a good question. Um, I say mostly my the longest comic I've done, the Violent Vixens Right Again. Oh, it is up there. I cleaned up my bookshelf so I can look professional. But
I don't never clean out my bookshelf. It don't look good.
in this team there are two black women. Even I wanted to make sure that one was, I hate to say obviously black, and
Mhm.
the other, she is, while she is mixed, she identifies as Black because that is how she grew up. But she goes through being misidentified since her
Mhm.
hair has turned gray since she's so light. So it's like there were little things I really especially enjoyed with her, little codes to let the readers know, especially if they're Black women, that no, this is a Black woman too. This team, two half of the teammates are Black women. So it's and the other one, she wears a do rag to bed. So it's like it's like that's how I just want to put those little clues and little Black woman Easter eggs, if you will,
Mhm.
just to delight my Black women readers. The one I'm working on now is based off of a short comic I did about a realtor who works for supervillains. It's my short comic by appointment only. But
That,
yeah, she
that
yeah, she works for villains and gets their layers and stuff. So I was convinced by one of my other artist friends to make an anthology. So that is my next big project. Your friends bully you. Um,
that they do, but
but
in good
her
ways.
style, yeah, in the best ways. But her style is like straight out of my early college and high school days in the 90s. So she definitely looks like an extra from Living Single and probably like one of Max's rivals at the office. So it's like I really wanted to channel this very confident Black woman who has to deal with these horrible people, but she keeps them in line. It's like you're coming to me for a service, so
Right.
get it together. But
I have
she
the right to refuse service.
exactly, she has the right to refuse service. But yeah, it's like I that's how I just want to put in all the things to make Black women delighted when they read my stories.
Oh yeah, I love the do rag thing. When I didn't have any hair, that I wore a do rag instead of bonnet because the bonnet was too big and it would just fall off.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would do rag. Honestly, I was bald. Then I was trying to do waves, and I'm too lazy
Mhm.
for waves, so it didn't work out. But like because I barely had any hair, so I just wore a do rag. It was so much
Exactly.
easier. It kept it where it needed it to be. So I love that. Just know all the different things that we do to protect our hair still,
Yes.
because that is what
Yes.
we're doing. We're trying to protect the hair, and
Exactly. So
just
it does not break off.
I love seeing it. I love seeing it.
Yes.
Why? Excuse me. Do you believe that representation is important in the creative industry, particularly for Black women?
Well, it lets us know that we can do this too, and we can do it well. And it doesn't matter what the naysayers say. We have our own stories to tell, and we should be, I don't want to say allowed, but we should go ahead and do it and not wait for permission. I honestly, while I'm not going to turn down a Marvel check, that's not my goal anymore.
Yeah,
So I really want to make my comics tell my stories my way and have them put out for the people to enjoy and not have to worry about marketing getting
yeah.
involved or yeah, or editors who don't understand. And I'm already
Mhm.
dealing with on my prose side having to educate some editors that no, that's meant to be said just like
Like that.
that. It's
Hmm.
like it's especially I had a story that was I let all my southern accent show and leaning more into my family's accent because they are from the coast of South Carolina. So their accent, half of them have the Gullah Geechee accent, and then half of them are close enough. So it's like I tried to lean into more of that in their speech patterns, and having to explain all of that was, it's like, no, no, these words don't need to be flipped. That's the way it's supposed to be. If you flip it, it doesn't make sense.
Or,
Yeah, little stuff like that. It's like, no, no, keep it.
yeah. I think people ask a lot. It's when you're, I guess it's because we're indie, so we're smaller or whatever. But like when you're indie and you're writing comics, people always ask, do you want to be, or don't even go with the do you want to be? It's like if you had to could choose between being picked up by Marvel or DC or somebody, they're like, which one would you go through? I'm just like, if they ask me to write a story for one of their characters, I might do it, but they can't have my stuff.
Oh
They
no.
can't have my stuff.
Mm-mm.
No, I don't need the corporate overlords um,
No.
fixing things that don't need to be fixed.
Exactly.
Yeah, like even but one as an editor who has edited um, a story that had a black woman as the main character, it's one of those things too. Like I'm not Southern, my family's from New York, but I've lived in Atlanta long enough to know how people speak, to know the cadence, all that kind of stuff. So it's
Yeah.
just like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if somebody different were editing this, they'd be like, well, that's not right. You can't do that. That's not how we speak. And it's like, no, this is, you have to understand cadence. You have to understand culture. You have to understand location. You
Yes.
have to understand ebonics because I will use
Yes.
ebonics all the time,
All the time.
all the time. I don't care where you're from. If you're black, you're going to use ebonics.
Yes. Yes and yes.
And then the other part I definitely relate is, which this, I guess I was lucky enough where this wasn't a huge thing. My character is Caribbean
Mm,
because my family is Caribbean. And so her parents have an accent. And like me, she could turn hers on and off. And so there were things in there that spelled different or said different that a lot of people could just be like, okay, well, that's incorrect spelling. This is how you do. And I'm like, no,
mm,
no, they're Bahamian. This is how they speak
exactly.
because how they speak in Barbados. That's why it's good to have people who understand the culture, who understand the area,
Yes.
working with you on these kinds of things. Unfortunately, most of the people in the Marvel and DC offices are not going to get it.
Nah. Nah.
And so that leads into my next thing, which is what challenges have you faced as a Black woman creative? And how do you stay resilient in the face of the systemic barriers and biases in the creative industry?
Whoo. You know what? That just sparked a memory. Let me tell. Okay, I did Heroes Con for the first
Tea
time
time.
last year. Yes, yes. I did Heroes Con for the first time last year, and I was gonna test the waters because it's like the biggest, Comic Con in the Southeast. The looks I would get from these old heads of all races that, like, oh, is that your comic? Ew. And it's just like, well, bump you too. It's like, I thought we were all here to enjoy, comics. I'm going around like, oh, you got a comic? Let me get your card. I'm broke right now, but I'll be back at you, you know? So it's like,
Let me make a little
the,
money at at this convention. I'll be right back to get your stuff. Okay.
exactly. So it's like the sneers, and I've had I haven't had much experience working with other people on their projects. And I guess when it comes to my stuff, a lot of times I will take my toys and go home. Um
Okay.
but it's like being treated like I don't know what I'm talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, dude, yeah, I just started making comics seriously, but I've been studying comics since 1999. I've been studying the art of how to make comics. I've been studying the art of the page turn and what it takes to keep somebody reading through a comic. I read my comics once to enjoy them, and then I go back and reread to study the art and the layout. And it's like, I can tell that you just draw stuff. It's like I can pick out somebody who does pinups mostly
Mm-hmm.
in a heartbeat from their artwork on their comic. And it's like, but I'm the one getting the turned up noses. So it's like, that's why I'm kind of like, I'll make my own.
Mm.
I'll make
Well, you
my
know,
own.
they got the sexy pinups, so they're not gonna get weird stares because they got sexy pinups of other people's already popular characters.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no,
And it's
that's
like, yeah, I was sitting across from a guy at Heroes Con who had this poster of Chun Li sitting on a controller from behind, and it was like, wow, it was well done. It really, really was, and I
like
liked it.
they can draw.
Yes,
They
but
can
it's
draw.
like, wow, and here I am slaving. It's like, y'all don't know how much I cried over this comic. I have a comic that's starring 4 women, so
Yeah, they look
that
at
doesn't.
it. It's this nerd slash yes even blurred space where as a woman you get looked down on a lot of the time. You get looked at crazy. Even just the dynamic in how my husband and I are treated slash spoken to slash acknowledged within our company is very different.
Oh, yes, because
Because
when my
people
husband's at the table, I might hear they always assume I'm the writer and that he drew, and I'm just like,
they assume you had anything to do with it.
yeah, yeah, or they assume I had anything to do with it at all. That's I mean, that's actually nice. God. Even when I like sold crafts, people would always assume that he was the one that made everything, and I'm just like, these are hair bows.
My name is right here.
This says Sarah A. Macklin.
It's on the table or up above the table, whichever.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, because of course, we co-own Midnight Comics, but the amount of time, especially in the first few years, and I take a little blame for that as being someone who more kind of stayed out of the spotlight, but still we were very vocal about the fact that we were a couple-owned company. The amount of times that people would say Midnight Comics and say my husband's name, or would invite Midnight Comics to an interview or a podcast and be shocked when I showed up.
Yep.
So I'm like, we are Midnight Comics. He's not Midnight Comics. We are Midnight Comics. If you get one of us, you get both of us, unless there's an extenuating circumstance where we've double booked, or one of us isn't feeling well, or one of us just don't feel like talking to you.
It happens.
Like stuff like, but yeah, like it's this past year of doing this business is really the most that people have remembered that I am here and I exist. And most of the time, the person you're talking to on social media is me, not him.
Exactly.
You're like, oh yeah, dude, and dude is gender neutral. I'm a dude, she's a dude, he's a dude. We all dudes.
We're all dudes.
But I know when they say dude, they mean him, and you're talking to me. I just
Yes.
want you to, we've said this several times. I do social media. You're talking to me 95% of the time, especially if it's
Exactly.
not in the DMs.
Exactly.
But it's just like it's this nerd space, this very male dominated space where it's
It's
just
still
like
to this day.
we see the man
It's so
to this day.
maddening. I just don't understand because like it's like women buy the most comics. It's a fact.
Don't tell them that. You're gonna make them upset.
And Oof.
You'll make them mad. So, how, in light of all this, how do you use your platform and your work to advocate for greater representation and visibility of Black women creatives, both creatives, creators, and in the books themselves? Because we talk a lot about how they ignore us.
Yes. So it's like with me now that I actually have a little bit of a following. There are people who know me for my comics as well as my books now. If you're a Black woman and you're making comics, I'm your biggest cheerleader. I am there for you. I will promote all of your stuff. I will talk about it. If I had the money, I will buy it. I have a daughter going off to college soon, so
I
I can
saw
only
that.
buy so much.
I saw that. Congrats to her. I know you're trying to get a
Yeah.
she wants a ring, right? The senior ring.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Oh, you did.
Oh,
Oh, that's
yes.
congrats.
Yeah, so but I have my eldest daughter is on her own now and has disposable income, so she also as soon as I tell her about something, she's like, "Everybody look. If my mom says it's cool, it must be cool." But
Oh,
yeah, so I recommend everybody's books to like everybody I know. People are tired of me. Um but I am here to be Black women's biggest cheerleader in this. And you're going to see Black women in all my books. You're going to see every hairstyle that we do in my books. If you look in the backgrounds, especially in all them freaking crowds I drew in my webcomic, heaven help me. um I just want to draw the totality of Black womanness because it's gorgeous.
mm. And I swear there's not enough time to do enough hairstyles.
Yes.
We were just talking earlier about it. I was like, oh man, and there's this hairstyle I want to do on one of our characters, but who should we do it on? We should do it on this character. But man, it's gonna be a while before they get to wear that hairstyle. And I don't do this hair,
Oh,
I don't do that hairstyle. Just
it's just like on my webcomic Villainous, the first page has my character all glammed up and her dreads are pulled up and beautiful. And I am not going to get to draw that hairstyle or that dress again for
but
God knows how long.
we all get to keep looking at it though. I have
Yes.
started villainous. I just need to finish. The first page, I was like, "Ooh, I love her hair. Okay, yes, I like this. Keep going."
It was like, and they're like, dang, and I gotta snatch this away from everybody with the second page. I feel bad.
But that just means that we get more of awesomeness coming after that.
Yes,
It
so
does work
I
out.
finally get to come back. I finally get to come back to that comic this summer, so I'm very happy about that.
It is always difficult though, because like you have the one character that has like their iconic hairstyle, and then it's just like, all right, I'm changing it up now.
Yes.
So it's always interesting for both you and the reader. It's just like, oh man, I was feeling that hairstyle. And then as a reader, it's like, oh man, they changed their hair. Oh
Yes.
wow, love that hairstyle.
Just like in Violent Vixens, I had one character that changed her hairstyle every scene and her makeup and her jewelry because that's just her. And it was just like it was constant. Oh shoot, what page am I on? Because I worked on everything out of order.
Oh,
So it was like, oh crap, oh crap. How's your
uh,
hair this scene? I had to go back and redraw so much jewelry. It was crazy.
whew, the amount of time I bet that took. Jesus, just tedious. I can't draw, so it's always very impressive to me when y'all do that stuff. Like,
Ugh.
even if I learned to draw, I don't know if I'd have the patience for the details
I'm
at
having. I
all.
had to learn. I had to. Ooh, I had to learn the patience for the details and for backgrounds. I I have a. There's a little meme of a little stick figure kicking another one off of a cliff, and I just changed it to me and past me because it's like every time I get to either a scene that takes place in a library, or it has a crowd on a street, or it's like, why did I write this? Why I have no one to be mad at but myself.
We
It's like,
wanted
why
to
did I do this?
life. How do you reclaim your agency as a Black woman creative? And are there any specific strategies or practices that you use to empower yourself, other people in the community? Like, how do you stay grounded?
Staying in touch with other creatives. Me and Stephanie talk a lot. I keep in touch with O'Neill Jones, who did Stephanie's comic Living Heroes.
Heroes.
So
Oh my God, that is so good. That is such a good comment.
I,
It
I
is
I
so funny.
literally keep that in my case with my iPad when I'm drawing comics, because I love Aaron's art so much. And every time I need to pick me up, I just like reread it and be like, yes, this is the foolishness that I'm trying to accomplish.
Wow, look from page one, I was with the I was with this because it had me rolling already, just all of it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's that is the kind of foolishness I am here for, that I'm trying to accomplish in all of my superhero stuff. Um yeah, I can't write comedy in prose for some reason, but comics, I'm all for the foolishness. It's weird.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I write comedy prose better in comics than novels too. So I feel you. I can't put it in a novel. I'll put it in a comic. I'm having a blast.
Yes.
But yeah, no, but yeah, that comic is so funny. I am so glad I started reading it.
Yes.
Um, how do you envision the future of inclusivity and representation for Black women in creative industries as a whole?
I think a lot more Black women are going to start doing it on their own. Um, I think a lot of us are going to link up and do some great things. I got some ideas that I'm working behind the scenes on, and hopefully I can talk about that in a little while. Um, but I really think that a lot of people are going to start doing more of independent and creator owned stuff, because what is it saying? All we got is each other.
Hmm.
And in this industry, it feels more and more like that. So
The
I
other
think
one is if anybody going to if nobody else going to do it, a Black woman will.
exactly, exactly.
Oh, I 100% agree though. We're coming out. We're coming out the woodwork, and there's some who have already started doing it who just need to be shown to the rest of us, to the
Yes,
masses, because there's so many more of us doing it than are even showing up in the numbers.
exactly,
I feel like the percentage that is put forth is even just like a quarter of the amount who are actually doing it, but don't get recognized or counted in that percentage.
exactly. Yes, because it's like with when I started writing, finding out how many Black writers were writing fantasy and science fiction, it was just like, and for me, I got so excited because it's like all these little quote unquote weird stories I was writing. It's like, y'all are writing this too?
Yeah.
Oh snap! So it's when you find community, it's so great. And it's like, I think Black women are going to start forming more of a community in comics, because we're the only ones that got each other's back.
Hmm. And isn't that what we do?
Yep.
Mm. I think you make me very excited to start some of my other non superhero stories because I have a few and they just not getting written yet. So
Oh, I am a adult graphic novel evangelist. I'm tired. I have nothing against the young adult. graphic novel boom. But I would like some stuff that I can read that I cannot show to the children, even though my children are grown. Um, but yeah, it's like there's this whole market that is untapped because all the people who were like little teeny boppers reading manga are grown now,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them still want to read comics, but there's nothing that fills that niche for them. And
Yeah.
it's like there's y'all are leaving money on the table. It's like I thought y'all wanted to make money.
Don't we want the money? Don't you want the money? Now, I will say our manga, well, our upcoming manga is definitely not for children. It's very dark, very gory. Yeah, we trying to hit all the markets. Just like, hey, we've got something for everybody. Come on.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
I can't
my
wait. It's so fun.
oh yeah. I'm doing a I just remember the project I was supposed to start writing on. It is Schitt's Creek if it was in a fantasy world. So that one's gonna be fun.
All right, mental note made. So, what advice would you give to other Black women, creatives, artists, comic book writers, navigating their identity in the creative industry?
Oh my gosh, stay true to yourself. Don't take a check, but don't sell out.
Please.
It look, if they want to give you their money, take their money. I'm not going to tell anybody not to take the money, but don't sell out. Be
Mhm.
true, be Black, because they will discard you in a heartbeat. They will try to take away your authentic identity in a heartbeat. And at the end of the day, you will be chewed up and spit out. So always keep a couple of projects close to your chest. And so that when your run through with this industry is through, you still have the stories that you can put out on your own. That will be your truest stories. And yeah, stay true to yourself.
I very much like that. All right, that was the last one I had. Real quick, we're going to go on to our women's fact, our women in comics fact for the day, which is actually about Jackie Orms. So, known for her comic strip, Torchy Brown in Patty Joe and Ginger and Dixie to Harlem, Jackie Orms was one of the first African American women to work as a professional newspaper cartoonist. I, I'd say all the time, do your research. Also, if you don't know this already, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, Torchy Brown is one of those characters. Because she's public domain, I've been considering trying to do something with her too. So we'll see if that happens. We'll see. I work her in somewhere.
Oh, yes.
Also, I didn't do this last episode, but Creative Challenge is still on. It's the same as season one. Give me something, some piece of art that expresses some form of change, some sort of call for social change, some sort of activism. That is the challenge for this season still. It hasn't changed because, my bad, I messed up season one and didn't quite, get that message out there properly. So I figure I should keep it the same this season as well. It's only fair to the listeners. Um, of course, I want Sarah to give us all the social handles, all the places we can find you, all the website, all the web comics, all the get people on your Ko-fi, please, and like all the things.
Okay. Um, First, my webcomic is villainouscomic.com. It is about basically who gets to be a hero and who gets to be a villain, and the very thin line between the two. You can find my art at sarahamaklin.com. I'm on Instagram at Sarah_Macklin. My kids called it the most boring handle ever. And I am on Blue Sky at Killian, KILLIAN IAN Fantasy. Because Killian is the area I grew up in. But yeah, that is all my socials.
And just so your kids know, I've definitely seen more boring handles, but it's really good to have your name because it makes you easier to find.
Exactly.
So
what do they know?
They'll get there. They'll get there. But of course, everybody, you can find us, Midnight X Comics, everywhere except for Facebook and YouTube, where we are just Midnight Comics. If you're looking specifically for me, you can find me at official_Toshij, TOSHIJ, everywhere except for Facebook and YouTube, where I am TashiJ89. And remember that a small spark can lead to a huge flame. And that's it. We'll see you next time.
Night, it's summer night. She left me so late, should've spent the night. No need to hit follies, I'm working her body out since she in love with the fitness type.